Today we're going to learn about taking a picture and going from a square, for example. Well, let's just use a rectangle. Taking a rectangle and turning it into an actual sphere, okay? Or a cylinder, actually. Okay, so let's go about doing that. First step, we have our ruler, which is what I always suggested to you. We're going to draw ourselves 2 lines. I'm putting mine about 2 inches apart. It's very simple, just like that. Let's create the bottoms to be even and the top to be straight up and down even. I love this ruler because it has a grid on it, and it really makes it easy to line everything up and keep it straight. Okay, but that's not even really that important. So I'm going to put these 2 lines down, and what you're going to do is you're going to start on this edge. Notice I'm turning my pencil on the side like this. So I'm only using the side of my pencil. I'm not using the point, the tip, just the side. And I'm going to run this like this, holding my hand at the back, down this side, getting it up close to this edge right here. I'm not pushing too hard. You can't push too hard at this distance so that's what I want you to be able to do. And we're going to take it down this side. Okay, it should be a nice consistent flow. Now we're going to start to move over towards the middle of your 2 lines into the center. I don't want you to go beyond this point, and I want it to be very light, as you probably cannot even see that on your screen. So I want you to bring this down. Let's get another one in here, about the same as the other, and we're going to keep this even, going up and down. It's not a hard thing, just easy to color in. Remember that this is all a learning process, something I know that you can do. It's just not that hard. Just take your time. If it doesn't work completely like you would like it to the first time, do it again. Okay, so now as we start to move over closer to the little line I gave as a guide here, we're going to start to get lighter and lighter. We're going to release our pressure on our hand, lifting it so you're not pushing down quite as hard. And we'll do the same thing going up and down. You can see right here how it's getting much lighter. I'm about half the tone that it is over here in the beginning where I started. Okay, down to the other end. Make sure that you're keeping this somewhat uneven. It's not getting a hard line in it. Keep it slightly even. Okay, so now we're going to go even a little bit lighter. We're getting up to the edge here where I want you to have nothing. So make it so light that it's barely visible on this edge. Okay, we're going to do that just like that. Now, you know what we did. You know what happened right there. So to make it easy, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, your hand should be that you're using on the side that is the opposite. So if you're right-handed, you should be holding your hand like this, and your pencil should be reaching the area on the left side. If you're left-handed, your hand should be over here like this, and you should be reaching the area on the right side, so that you are using what is just easiest to work the line. You have the most control. Okay, so now I flipped my page over. Yes, that is always available. This is a magnetic board. That is why I have all these little crazy things. So you don't even see them. I have all my Disney fingers up here. And this keeps, and here's my little puppy dog. It keeps my paper from having to be taped down. I don't like to have it taped down. And I like my surface to be at a slight angle. It's better for you physically if your head is not at a totally flat surface, because your neck has to bend over the top, and you can see what you're doing. I'm probably at about a 30-degree angle, maybe even less. Okay, so you're going to do on this side exactly what you did on the first side. Let's take it first, hold it at the back, same way, using the side of your pencil lead. And let's just go down this side the same way you did, following that line, trying to stay away from actually going on top of it. Okay, so that's the darkest that you want it. I mean, you could go darker, but then let's go over here next to it, and we'll do another one a little bit dark like this. Okay, I'm going to go back up here. We're going to start to get a little lighter. So it's about half of the darkness that this one was, but don't make this gradient in here a really stark line. Keep it nice and smooth as far as transition goes. Now you notice the grain of my paper is showing up. That's okay. And whatever paper you end up using, whether it's just a really rough surface or like a watercolor paper or this is just a regular old, it's the back of my leftover scrapbooking paper. And it works for all these kind of experimental things I'm doing. I don't use the really expensive paper until I get to a project I really might want to save. So now we're going almost to white. So it's, and you notice I did about the same thing as far as how far I went over. I'm not quite to the middle because my middle is somewhere in here, and I just kept it really light. Okay, so you see that we have it. It's a nice gradient. Now I had you all get these little tortillions. Okay, you can use a tortillion. This is just wrapped paper, or you can use these blender sticks. They're really inexpensive, both of them, at your craft store. Learning to draw doesn't have to be an expensive thing. You can start off really easy. So for this one, I'm going to use my tortillion. Tortillions, if you push at the top, they'll squish back inside. But if you have one of those great paper clips, you can just shove it down this little hole in the middle, and it'll push it back out again. Okay, so again, I'm going to use it on its side over here, and I'm going to start at the darkest point, and I'm just going to kind of blend this out along this edge. And let's just take it out about, I'm only going out about 1/4 inch. And we'll go all the way down from the top to the bottom and just keep it nice and smooth. Don't use the tip because that'll push it inside. I'm using a decent amount of pressure to smooth out this surface. See, and I went over the line a little bit right there. It doesn't matter because I have this handy dandy kneaded eraser. I told you about getting. These are great because they can always be clean. I'm going to make a little sharp point on it. I'm going to come along this edge where I went over a little bit and just clean it up. It doesn't leave any little speckles over here. Okay, so now we're going to do this, going back up. We're going to bring it over again, and we're going to go straight up, back and forth. I'm using my whole arm, continuing to smooth this out. Up to the top, and then I'm going to move over again. Now it's going to start to get lighter. Okay, and you can keep using that same area because you've got graphite nicely on here, and now it gives you something to work with as far as smoothing it out. Okay, so we're going to keep taking this down, and then we're going to come over a little bit more. And I'm going to go until I run out. I'm not going to turn my tortillion around. I'm going to go until I run out. It's nearly white. I'm going to release my pressure as I get to the end, you know. Now see what a nice smooth gradient we have here? Works nice and easy. I'll move my magnets, turn it around so I can work on the other side. Put Pluto over there and Goofy over here. We'll just get you all, move anything out of my way. Start doing the same thing. Find a place on your tortillion and just go up and down along this edge. If you go over the line, don't worry about it. We can clean it up later. We just want to get our cylinder looking like a cylinder rather than two lines going up and down. Now I'm going to go up here to the next spot. I'm going to smooth that out. And I'm going to come out to the next one. I'm going to smooth that out. Very careful to watch what I'm doing as far as keeping it nice and smooth. And then I'm going to keep going up and down until basically I run out of graphite. This no longer becomes a drawing tool because it runs out of graphite on the back. And I can lift the pressure off right here as I get into the middle to this part that's white and carry it across. Now, already you can see that our little rectangle is turning into looking like it's round. This is all that we want, okay? So I have a piece of woodless graphite here. You can get at your store. These are all very inexpensive too. I use Generals. And it's just a stick. Looks like a pencil, but there's no wood on the outside of it. Gets your fingers kind of dirty, but it comes in handy for getting some real dark stuff going on. So this edge right along here, see how it creates a little bit, almost a black-like line? And I'm just going to go out here about 1/8 of an inch, just along this edge to give us some real depth. See, again, I went over it. Doesn't matter. This is not a matter of perfection. I can erase that kind of stuff off later. I just want to go and make this whole edge right here a little darker. Then I'm going to put it down. I'm going to pick up my, I'll use my blending stick this time. I'm going to go over the top of this. And I'm going to even blend that out over to here even more. I just love that woodless graphite. It really gets in all the little cracks. It's a little softer. Get one of those. Those are fun. It's fun to walk through your craft department or your drawing department at your craft store and see all the things they have to draw with. Most of it's not very expensive at all. I can keep coming this out. Can continue to use this little blunt cotton blender here on that side. And I'm going to do it again on the other side, as I did before. Okay, so I'll grab my woodless graphite. If you're using a regular pencil, still you can do the same thing. Just turn your pencil over on its side, as we've been doing from the very beginning, and you can get closer to the tip, and then you can give it a little more pressure, which will create a blacker line. We're going to all blend it all out. You can use your good old H2 pencil that you use for work or school or just regular writing for a long time, until you get to the place where you feel like you want to get more detailed and you really like drawing, and you can pick up some of this other stuff and add to your abilities. So I'm going up and down, pushing pretty hard. Just want to blend out that edge. See my little edge that I used that has most of the graphite still on it? I can use that. I push nice and hard. Get it into all the cracks of the paper, smoothing it on down. A little bit of graphite hanging out there. Take it up, take it down. So you got it all nicely blended out. Looks pretty good. Okay, that looks pretty 3D, whereas before it looked like this. We started off with it looking pretty 2D. Oops, excuse me. Looking like that, or even looking just like a rectangle. Draw a line. You take this little rectangle, by adding the shading, you turn it into something that is cylinder looking. Dark pushes things away. Light brings things forward. So if you're trying to make something look like it's curving, you would go very gradually from very light to very dark. Let's make it more cylinder looking by putting a nice long oval from one side to the other on the top up here. I'm just doing this very lightly. I'm using my whole arm to curve it around. It doesn't have to be perfect. And down at the bottom, I don't need to have this top one because you can't, if it's tilted like this, you can't see that. So we'll take this one down here and we'll give it just the bottom right here. And then we can come back in and kind of add something happening here with the top, kind of making a little darker around the edges just so it gives it some kind of depth. We can go over this edge right here, and down here you want to carry this out. So I'm going to bring this down so it matches. We'll blend it out in a minute. So now I'm getting closer to the edge of my pencil. My hand is down here, and I'm only using my fingers because I'm doing detailed work. Once you get into detailed work, you don't need to use the whole strength of your arm as much. And I want to keep this part white. Now I can go back over here with my blender stick and bring this all down to this edge. How nicely it blends out. Each time I go, push hard, lighten up, and lighten up so you're barely touching the surface. As you get through here, you can go a little bit harder, a little bit harder, a little bit harder, and then you're pushing down nice and hard to blend this out. So it blends out pretty well. I even cheat every now and then and use my finger.